Well, good afternoon. Welcome to Nash Talk. And I'm actually right outside of Detroit, Michigan. That's where my hometown is. And I'm doing this last minute. Well, when I say last minute, we actually talked about it. Um, the gentleman to my the other side of my split screen now. And the reason I brought him on is because we've been great friends for well over 20 years now. And he actually was really instrumental as I'm working my computer here, and getting me into a higher understanding of music. If you look around, you can basically see we've got two pianos side by side, a 9-foot Baldwin, a grand piano, and of course a Kawai over here. And he's got a pipe organ over there, and it's just really, really interesting what this man knows. And he also currently, and for as many years as I can go back, teaches a wide range of students, up to 50 a week.
51.
51. Okay, 51. So I wanted to share during the holiday season something a little bit different as we're getting into the 2024 roster of people that I will be interviewing at various times and locations. But we're live from his home, and this is where he created his conservatory back in what year did you begin?
1959.
1959. Well, let me first introduce this gentleman who I am honored to call a great friend. He's one of my best friends of all time. His name is Maestro Gerald Goslin. So, first off, welcome, Maestro.
Well, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
I really wanted to share some of the things that this man has done. Now, I call him my teacher, but I also call myself his worst student. But because when we originally met back in like early '80s, briefly.
When I just joined the faculty at OCC.
Yeah, at Oakland Community College, not too far from here in Farmington, Michigan. And I was under the tutelage of a different instructor there. But subsequently, the early '80s, so about almost 20 years later, we reconvened in 2002.
Yes.
Actually, the month my son was born.
Yeah.
Right, 2002.
Yeah.
And what we began was a musical journey, if you will. He would teach me harmony, fundamentals. I was buying books like crazy. What was it, Ottman's and stuff?
Ottman books.
Yeah, the Ottman books, and oh man, and then of course piano. I did voice too for a while.
You did. Yes, you did.
And so I would see at least a couple times a week.
A couple times a week.
Yeah, I would drive from Royal Oak, which is about 20 miles from here.
About
that. So each way I had to come, and I would always complain to him every time I came in, didn't I? But it was worth it because from the minute I met him at that point, and I started taking lessons from him. I mean, he doesn't skip a beat. There's no delays. There's no anything. It's very rigid. And I knew that way to this day. In fact, we were out to lunch earlier, and we were discussing some of the students that you've had and currently have.
Right.
That you have a 10-year-old?
10-year-old, yes.
What's his name?
Bruce.
Yes. And I guess he's at like collegiate level, at the highest level, right? Yes. And so, and when I first met you, who was the student, the young girl? Asian.
Shulamite.
Shulamite, that's right, Shulamite. And I guess she was pretty amazing too. Yes. How old was she at that time?
Well, she came to me when she was 10.
10? 10. Yeah, and I mean, prodigy. That's what you basically deal with most of the time. So, well, let's start with the beginning. Let's go there. Like, when did you start originally?
Well, my mother bought me a toy piano when I was 4.5. Mm-hmm. So I would plunk out little things I'd hear on the TV. So I was born in January, so I actually started school in September. So I was 4 3/4.
Right.
And I could pick out things on the piano at school. So that the principal actually got wind of this, and she heard me, and she took me home, and she told my father that we need to start piano lessons. So Dad bought me an old upright from the Salvation Army. My first teacher's name was Miss Bigelow, and she came to the house. And I also was taking accordion at that point too.
Oh, really?
Yes. Well, I couldn't take the piano around with me. I had a little business going. Anytime there was a bar mitzvah or a wedding or birthday or anniversary, I got the neighbors back in Detroit in the 50s. Neighbors were very close. It was like one big family.
Right.
And if somebody had something, everybody was invited.
Sure.
So I always provided the music, and I got paid for it.
Wow.
And there was a competition over at Peterson Park. I took my accordion there, and I won it. It's $50 back in the 50s, which was a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then I also started playing in church when I was 7 years of age.
7.
The church I went to was a 3,900 member church. They had 2,200 in Sunday school. The children's chapel upstairs had about 75 kids.
Right.
Well, I started piano lessons when I was young. So by the time I was 7, I had a couple of years.
Right.
And one day the organist didn't show up. So Mrs. Anderson, she said, anyone play the piano? I raised my hand. This thing I knew I'm on that organ.
Sure.
Which I never saw before.
Right.
So I did so well, she wanted me to come back next week. So I went downstairs and I talked to Ted Herzl, who was the organist, and started taking some organ lessons from him to how to play it. So I played upstairs until I was 12. Then I moved downstairs to the other chapel, which sat 175, and that was a full 2-manual organ. And I played there till I was 16. Then I took my first paid church job at 16.
Wow.
The church had a wonderful music program. The choral program was like 1,000 people. Well, you started at age 3.
Sure.
And by the time you got to be the adult choir, you were a professional soloist. It was a wonderful church back then.
Wow. So in having that part in your teenage years, where did you go from there? Now, when did you go to performing, or did you go to teaching first?
Well, I started teaching when I was 10 years of age. I used to go to students' houses and give lessons. And then when I was in my teenage years, I started teaching at music studios. I had several studios offering me a position. When I was Peralta Music, I was there for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Newton Elementary and then Winship Junior High. And then I went to Castle High School. And that's why I majored in music. So I was playing, on things at school, and I had students, and I was always playing at church. So it's a combination of the three.
So you've been playing, because I know you still play at churches.
Oh yeah.
In fact, I've even been to several of your churches over the last 20 years. Well, 2 actually. Bushnell, and then 15 years ago, maybe longer, that you went to.
I've been at St. Andrews 16 years now.
Okay. So I was close.
Yeah.
And in fact, you've got a concert coming up on the 24th.
The 24th at 10:30 is our Christmas program.
Wow. Now, I know that you are prepping the last several months for recording, right?
Yes.
And when is that? Where are you actually going to be doing that?
Well, we're going to do 2 venues. One is going to be out in Novi. We're going to start that in February.
Okay.
And then the project that John's working on is going to be down in Atlanta, Georgia.
Nice.
So those are 2 recording sessions that are coming up.
Now we're going to go ahead and go back and forth a little bit to keep it,
fine.
Pretty interesting here. So when you started teaching,
yes,
what was your normal range? Now I know that you taught at the college.
I was on the adjunct faculty from 1983 to 2010.
Wow. And I think I remember that because I went with you a few times to the college, and you were giving.
Well, once a year, I did a Chopin recital from MUS 156, Understanding of Music. I was music coordinator back then.
Sure. And of course I've seen you play. In fact, he's gonna give us a little piece in just a little bit here. But what I wanted to ascertain from you was the combination of different things, because I know that you've performed all over, and I know that your end goal will be to be in Vienna.
Yes.
Right. And he's talked about that many times over the years. But right now he is now, how long have you been teaching? Because that's I wanted to get into that.
I opened my studio in 1959.
Okay, so if you want to do the math.
Well, that's about 63 years.
63 years. Okay. So now you currently at this point in time, 51 students. Right. That takes you how many days roughly?
3 days.
3 days. So you go through 50. That's crazy.
Well, I teach. I usually start at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I go 11 o'clock at night. So I do 18 to 20 students.
And he really does. That's crazy. I mean, I can't even.
Well, I taught 80 students for 50 years. So I've cut back a little bit.
I've cut back. Yeah. You're slowing down. And please forgive the split screen at the moment for whoever sees this, because I had to put a towel on where my laptop goes because I'm in this. He's got so many different instruments in between all the books and all the tapes and cameras and everything that he has set up here. And I didn't want to scratch, of course, his pianos. And he's very particular about that, which I've learned, and we've learned to love that as well. But so when you see all these things, the microphone and all this stuff here, that's just because I wanted to capture the essence with this particular camera unit, what he does and how he does things with 50 plus students a week. And you've been doing that for quite some time, and you're putting 60 hours a week in now just to get preparing for this concert.
With the practicing and the teaching and the church job and everything.
That's 11 days from now, that concert.
Yes.
Okay. And people are invited in the area to come.
Well, anyone, it's St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church, 26701 Joy Road, Dearborn Heights, 48127. Anybody that's available on that Sunday morning at 10:30, you're more than welcome to come.
Sure. And I don't know if they're going to be streaming or not, but and I know that we will be showing this through your list. You've had 5,000.
I have 5,000 people.
Yeah, followers on Facebook. Okay, so you're maxed out on that, which is good. So when they see this, they're going to see if you are in the area. And I don't know if you can hear the clocks in the background. There's you have several clocks.
Yes.
It's like Doc Brown's place.
That's my grandmother's clock.
Oh. That clock behind you is from 19.
Okay, my grandmother bought that clock at Sears on Oakland Boulevard in 1921.
1921.
And it sat on her mantle until she passed away in 1989.
Oh, okay.
And then she willed that to me, and I had it fixed. So the clock is 102 years old.
102 years old. So we got it working. I guess. What drove you to be, because piano is your primary instrument.
Yes.
I know you mentioned a couple others like the accordion, but
yes.
And I know I've seen you play the pipe organ, and you've mastered that pretty well. But what fueled the passion for the piano?
I always loved the piano. And of course, TV was very limited back then. It wasn't like it is now. But I would hear someone, Liberace was on, I would see people play the piano. And of course, in church and school,
Sure.
The church had an excellent music department. So I would hear the pianist and organist there. And that's what I wanted to do. I knew at 4.5 exactly what I was going to do. You asked me, I would have told you.
And you've always been that way. I remember the first time I walked in to his conservatory, which wasn't at this location.
No.
And I think I didn't knock.
You didn't knock.
I didn't knock. That's what happened.
You just barged in.
Yeah, I just opened the door and he said, "You didn't knock." And I was like, "What?" And then and that's how we started. And then from that moment on, I wasn't really certain what I was going to do with the music, but going further and over the years of the things that I've been through, when I chose to go to Nashville, I knew that there was things I was limited to doing because I started so late, and I was with you for a while, for a couple of years almost.
Yeah.
And then I probably in a perfect world needed several more, but I knew enough about music where I could deal with musicians, the chord progressions, melodies, tempos, you name it, fundamentals of.
Sure.
And I could actually communicate in that language,
right,
or at least be familiar with. Now, again, going back to your students, that you have a very high bar that you set for all of them, each collectively and individually. And that's why, you're not your run-of-the-mill, let's go to Evola Music type piano teacher. It's a full-on course, like you're really at some formal conservatory, basically Berklee College of Music or Juilliard or whatever you want to, hold your standards to. And I don't think I've ever seen you shortchange that once. And everything in here is completely pristine. It's all kept up. You even have. How often do you tune your pianos?
Well, they were tuned in September.
September. Okay. So, every time I come here, there's and sometimes I haven't been here for quite a long time, but I've been off and on here for over 20 years. And I know that the way you keep all your instruments tuned and conditioned It's like a Swiss watch over here. It's just amazing, and everything's impeccable. You could take a white glove to everything in this place, and that's what I respect about you. I mean, this is how he dresses all the time since the day we've met, probably way before. And I mean, he fits the bill. Like when he comes up to the piano, any piano, I've seen you play in a full grand Steinway a few times actually. For a few different locations, and he just goes right to work. I've even seen you arrange an entire ensemble, like an orchestra, horn section, winds, everything, and hence the Maestro, right? I almost was going to ask you if you saw the new movie that came out.
No, but all my apprentices are bugging me to go. Well, I probably at some point will.
Yeah, because I know Bradley Cooper played that part, and I know that he was being interviewed. I guess he said it. He learned a lot, just the mindset of a maestro and having to bring perfection and coordination to all the moving parts of a symphony.
Oh yeah.
And I know that that's your specialty on top of everything else. So, I guess, I'll touch upon a few other things really quick so that your students and future students and former students and anybody else out there that enjoys music, because I know that out like in Nashville, it was predominantly country and rock and things like that. But he's argued from the day, well, you haven't even argued with me. It's basically set in stone that classical music has been like the apex of the music. Everything comes from that.
Yes.
And, and because I asked him one time, not too long ago, was it like last year? I said, how come they haven't made anything new since Mozart, Beethoven? And, and what was your answer?
Well, they are writing new music.
Right.
But the music reflects the society in which we live in.
Oh, I see.
So society hasn't been really good, and frankly, a lot of the new music, the contemporary classical music, the composers are writing for other composers.
I see.
It doesn't really speak to audiences. It might get performed once or twice, and then it just kind of drops out of sight because the audiences didn't really enjoy it.
Because I noticed you have all these, and I've known this for years, and I'm just saying this for the benefit of whoever sees this, sees this, is that like you'll have Beethoven, Bach, Mozart. I mean, who is your favorite, by the way?
They asked me. I don't like a lot of each composer.
I think, I'm just.
my teacher's going to direct line back to Beethoven, so I do a lot of Beethoven.
I gotcha. Yeah, because I know that I told him, because he'll probably live forever. He'll outlast me. It's amazing. But I said, when I die, I said one of the songs I want to have performed was Clair de Lune, right? And we just heard it in his.
It was on the car when we were going through.
Yeah, it popped in on his car. We drove his 2023 Cadillac. Was that a CTS?
Yeah, CTS.
Yeah, and it came on the Symphony Channel, and he's critiquing it. He's going, it sounds too clunky. I'm like, what? I wish that I had where I could just go, and you have students like that. In fact, Todd Scott, right?
Yes.
He came, I saw him a couple months ago when I was here in July. And we were at a church service, and he had all his choir, because you have, vocal choir. And they come in all sizes and shapes, colors, you name it. There's no one particular type of person. Every race, every creed, every color, They come to him. It's not like one style of person. To you, human is human, especially when they're a really talented and formidable musician. And I know that Todd went up and played things. I actually recorded it and broadcast it on my Facebook page. This is, that's what I'm sharing it. I'm not just sharing this to my personal page. This is, because for me, this is a legacy video for me. And I can even probably airbrush all this out or whatever they do it. But, Linda says Beethoven for me too. She's watching.
Oh, okay.
I like the fact that you are of a higher caliber. I always considered myself that, but it was a lot of ego, a lot of attitude. I'm like, I'm the best of something. And when I met you, I knew instantly I met my match. And I knew that as hard as I tried, it would never be good enough, which doesn't bother me a bit. Because I knew that's why we're friends. Because I like the best of the best people that I could ever find. Because I know lots of people. And this isn't to take away from anybody else, but you're a unique person. The way you talk, the way you dress, the way you think. I mean, you speak several languages too. How many languages do you speak? Five languages. And I know that you can recite the Bible, the King James Bible, at least, or right? That.
Well, I do spend a lot of time.
Yeah, and so like he'll recite things and tell me Psalms and Proverbs without even having to look at it. I mean, and it takes a lot for me, because I'm not as polished in the realm of classical music and theory as some of your students. Like you have, like I said, you have prodigy students that are, not even in their teens yet, that are at, would you say, doctrine level? Yes. To me, Yeah. So those are the things I find fascinating. You're like the real deal. And I know ultimately that's what I wanted to share with the rest of the world, it isn't when they just come to see you play, or your students that come to learn and you teach how to sing or the music theory and everything else, but it's just the way it's like a handmade Mercedes or something like that. There's a craftsmanship, there's a skill level, there's those those magnum opus kind of things where it's like you try to create these work of arts, not just with yourself, because that's your personal drive. Because you practice how many hours a day?
4 hours a day.
4 hours a day, and that didn't include the several hours when he's not doing teaching, right? Because you don't discount your days off with your teaching. You still find time to practice, right?
Well, yes, I practice when I do my church work, and I catch up on if I something else I need to do with my practice. I practice probably more on those days.
Well, I mean, and I'm going to get you to sit up here in a few minutes, before we end all this. But what would you say is your biggest thrill teaching? And if you were to leave a statement that really not just emphasizes, but encompasses what you've done and what you do and what you want to leave as your mark.
Well, it's my job to leave something for the next generation of musicians.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to live forever. So I've had some very successful people out there who've gone on to very big careers who I'm very, very proud of.
Sure.
I'm very proud of my younger apprentices right now, because I mean they're already performing and doing what I consider professional work.
Going back, because I have a flood of questions that are all different.
Okay.
So I'm going to go in this direction of when you now then the other side of performing, where was your favorite place to play? And idealistically, the B side of that is, where would you love to play that you haven't played?
Well, I'd like to perform with Vienna.
Mm-hmm.
Because in addition to performing, I did have my own radio show, which I enjoyed doing in the 90s, the Piano Hour. And then I did several TV things, which I was on Kelly and Company, and I did Channel 7 Action News, and I did a series of recitals for what then was Metrovision.
Right.
And then, of course, I have several recordings I made. They were all on cassette over the years, which I enjoyed doing those. I did a lot of, recitals, and I did a lot of things on my church music series when we would have complete.
Sure.
I think I've done about half of the 6 or 7 recitals since I've been at St. Andrews. I enjoy performing. I enjoy playing.
Yeah. So Vienna would be your...
To give them piano recital in the Musikverein would be the ultimate thing for me, yes.
Well, I'm sure you'll get there. I mean, I know that like I said, you've really set your sights on it for a long time. You're practicing your ability while you're teaching, while you're preparing for all these, events that are coming up for the holidays. What would you want your social media audience, because I know you have 5,000 followers on Facebook, and that's the only one you typically use right now, right?
I'm also on LinkedIn.
On what?
On LinkedIn.
Oh, you're on LinkedIn. Okay. Yeah, we could share this on LinkedIn too, by the way.
I have 15,000 people on LinkedIn.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So I guess for someone who doesn't know you, and whether they are the extreme musician, artist, if that's the right word to use, somebody that's looking to find the best music, whether it be classical, and or just for whatever training, because you've trained people to sing opera.
Oh yes.
And I mean, that's like a high caliber. And in fact, one of the books you had me get was years ago, 20 years ago. What was it? It had Pavarotti and
Great singers on great singing.
yeah. Who were the singers on that? I'm trying to remember.
It had all the majors.
All the majors, right? So so that's the level that you take your students to to catch up to, or to emulate.
Right.
I gotcha. So there you go. And as far as piano, the same thing. You're trying to get them to play like the greats.
Right.
Okay. What would be your biggest thrill? Well, besides if you were to pick in the United States outside of Vienna, which is Austria, isn't it Austria?
Yeah, Vienna's Austria. Yes.
Yeah, I'm always getting my German countries a little confused. But anyway, because I've never been there. In fact, I know that you've offered me to go. When that time comes.
Right.
I get to watch him. Anyway, he trusts me with his life. I know that. But anyway, no, it's because it's been a thrill. It's been an honor to know you, and I've reached out to him several times. As a matter of fact, in a personal note, I know that when my son passed over 4 years ago, and everybody knew about it on social media, because I know people that posted it, and that work in TV and radio. There's one of our clients. That you were the first one to arrive both days, I think. Yeah. And now you got to forgive me for not remembering every little detail, because I was a little, out of my, but you did offer to play also.
Yes.
And something happened where we just couldn't get a keyboard or something to this place. It was just, there was too many people. It was just, we couldn't fit any more people, but he offered. What would you have played?
Well, quite a little, and probably some Mozart and some Beethoven, just a nice variety of things.
Yeah. I never asked you that. So, I guess for me, it was always a challenge to always step up to the plate with you every time I came. But I remember sometimes I would have, because I had a business that was really successful at the time. And I used to sit there and just throw wads of money at him all the time. One time I said, well, how much for this and this and this? And I just threw a stack of money at you one time, didn't I? He goes, I could choke Godzilla. Is that what you said? But it was worth it. It was worth the money. It was worth every penny. And like I said, I'm probably not the orthodox student that you were. Probably, like, I snuck in the back door, so to speak. Like, it's like being a Navy SEAL. You've got to go through, I don't care what shape you're in and how tough you've trained. When you get to that level, only a handful make it. And somehow, even though I probably, from my estimations, I never made it to the finish line with you in that department, but our friendship sustained the test of time. Yeah. And that's why I'm here, because I know that I took some of your old tapes, your old radio shows, yeah, and he had them on cassette, and I took them, and this was 20 years ago, yeah, and I digitized them to CD and converted them to MP3 at that particular time. And the other thing that I think that I helped you do was, because you weren't really familiar with the internet. A lot of people weren't back then. And we filmed him at different places. I still have them, by the way, the films, and I digitized them, but we also put a lot of them on YouTube.
Yes.
And that actually, gave a bird's eye view or window to the world a little bit of what you've done. So this was kind of my 2023 ending the year while I'm on a new venture with music. Right. And I can't, how you always say pay it forward, but I like to pay it back, so to speak. And I think when I was down in Tennessee, and I'm going back in a few weeks, you see people with dreams and hopes, and you think, initially when you go down there, you think that everybody's just going to wear a cowboy hat and a banjo or guitar, and there's a lot of that. But you do find out that there are people that have trained in production. They went to the best schools. They've been to the, some have taken years and years of lessons, and some are self-trained, of course. But you have this cornucopia of musicians, and the best musicians that have the best training have a lot of classical background.
Yes.
And they attribute, all the music to that. And I wanted to go, well, this is my big gun right here. that's you. And, you've really done an amazing job over the last 60 plus years of your life. So, I applaud you on that. I mean, that's something to be proud of. I mean, it's just so meticulous in here, the way you've always done it. And it's not for the faint of heart. If you want to come in tired or making up excuses or bring your personal drama, this is not the place. This is like, again, it's like a military boot camp here as far as that's concerned. And I guess I don't really know. Oh, you did have a teacher before you, didn't you? Or somebody in your life? Or who was you had a picture one time of somebody?
Well, Mr. Cutler.
Yeah, give me that.
His picture. Well, he was the last teacher I studied with.
Ah, and where was he from?
He was from Russia.
I knew Russia.
From Kiev, actually.
Kiev. Wow. So what was that like?
Well, it was an experience because he was a very, very strict teacher. If you did not have your lesson, he was less than cordial.
Because you don't come from really a musical family, do you?
Well, my mother actually sang on the radio when she was younger. I mean, all the females in our family have good singing voices right up through the line.
Right.
My brother had a good tenor voice. My mother, I didn't know until we bought a piano, actually took piano lessons. So she really played quite well.
Well, I guess where I was going with that, not to take away from any of them, but I've met your family many times, even your parents when they were both alive.
Sure.
And, nobody, you're like an anomaly to the rest of the family as far as I was concerned. I mean, you kind of cut your own cloth, so to speak. I mean, it wasn't like somebody in the family took you under their wing and kind of groomed you to who you are and what you do the way you do it, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I guess, my understanding of you is that, like, how when you're a little young child, you knew then at a young age that you were going to be this and do this. But you still have a long journey ahead of you, it seems like you're not slowing down at your age, which is, well, let's say we do 63. If we do the math, I mean, I know how old you are, but some people are way beyond in their retirement years at this point, and they're not looking to handle 5 students, let alone 50. Yeah. So, I mean, do you see yourself slowing down anytime soon?
I don't think so.
Really? So you're going to maintain the schedule and
as long as I physically can,
until you depart for.
Well, it takes me home.
Yeah. Well, I didn't mean that far yet. I was talking about Australia. I was talking,
talking about Australia.
Yeah, Austria. Yeah.
You're doing the same thing there.
Yeah, right. So, well, no, that's cool. I'm glad you took the time out. I don't want to leave any stone unturned as far as any kind of, question or anything that you feel like, I've missed or anything. Is there anything that I haven't touched upon that you might want to?
Well, I guess what I would say to young musicians, be very careful who you find as a teacher.
Ooh.
Because you're only as good as the teacher you study with. I mean, if you take lessons, you come out with just one book of pieces, nothing else, then you need to find another teacher.
There's a lot of truth to that, because I don't think I told you when I was looking for you. Actually, somebody found you that that was probably the last good gesture I had from that person. But I was looking closer to home over there, and the places that sold pianos and things like that. And I walked in there and I just didn't feel it. But I wasn't looking for you per se. And when I walked in, I said, "Oh, I think I better be careful what I wished for," because it was, and a lot of what you taught me that was difficult stuck in my head. Mm-hmm. And I think you're right. It's like when I trained martial arts, I didn't go to a supermarket dojo. I trained with the best of the best. Right. And you have to. Right. Anything you do, you have to. That's the message I think that you should leave.
Well, if you're going for a career in music, the problem is in the school systems now, they're no longer teaching students how to learn. They're teaching students how to memorize. See, learning is taking a concept, learning how it applies to you and explaining it to somebody else. Mm-hmm. That's no longer taught in the school systems. In order to teach something, you have to hang that on something the person already knows. Sure. So what's happening in the school system, these kids are memorizing a bunch of disjointed facts, which they don't remember to the next day. So if a young person comes to me, I spend the first couple of years teaching them how to learn. Then I can get down to subject matter.
That makes sense.
The last good class went to college in 1969. It kind of went downhill after that. And unfortunately, if you're going to be a musician, you can't have karate on Monday night or ballet on Tuesday night and soccer on Wednesday night. And it is a full-time job. The kids have got too many activities in their lives, and they're jack of all trades and master of none. Every night it's something. No, if you're going to be a musician, you go to school, you practice. That's that Schumann, that's all she did. She did her homework. She practiced her flute and the piano, and that's all she did.
So you live and breathe it.
You live and breathe it. It's a full-time job, and it's something you've never done with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it takes. Well, Beethoven said, "A musician has the discipline of a soldier and the heart of a gypsy." That's how that's how he described a musician.
I've never heard that.
Music is 10% inspiration, 90% perspiration.
I've heard that.
Yes, I said. But it is a very big. It's as close to being perfect as a human being. Now, if you're a writer, it's sitting in front of you. You can change it 10,000 times. A sculpture, same thing. But dance and music, once the notes go out, you can't take them back. You can't pull them back out of the air if you don't like what you did. But all the other arts, you can, it's not going for. It's like I had a brain surgeon one time. He said brain surgery is easy compared to playing the piano. The patient isn't going anyplace. He can sit there and stare at the brain for 20 minutes. But once you play the piano, you play the wrong notes, you can't take them back.
You're right.
So it's as close to being perfect as a human being that you can possibly. The discipline has to be that strong. And what we're lacking in the younger generation is discipline.
I want to ask a second question that this begs.
Okay.
What do you think about teachers these days? I mean, without, picking up, we're not singling one particular
You
one.
mean public school teachers?
Well, I'm talking about a music teacher in itself, just specifically music.
Okay. Well, first of all, you have to be qualified to teach. And that takes some training.
Sure.
I mean, there's some good teachers out there, and there's frankly a lot of them that aren't. And the problem is, if you're not a good teacher and you get somebody talented, that person's never going to progress. Because 2 of the 3 students, the talented students, came to me that come from other teachers, and they were frankly a disaster because the teachers just didn't do anything with it. You can't be better than the teacher you study with. You're only as good, or now a good teacher can take a less talented student and push them maybe a little bit ahead of where they get more of them than they would normally.
Right.
But it's you could be very talented. You can't, but if the teacher doesn't take you through, every piano teacher should be given. The kids should have a book of pieces. They should have technique of some kind. They should have scales. They should have rhythm theory. And they should have clapping and counting. Those 5 things are minimum to be a good teacher. If all you're doing is putting a student in a book of pieces and teaching them to play the piano by rote every week, it's glorified babysitting because they're never going to play.
Yeah.
And if the people, I've had several come to me in their early teens and they were, well, Maestro, I want to be a music major in college. Well, we've had to work like crazy, for 4 or 5 years to get these people ready so they actually could enter a college.
Sure. It's funny that you say, because I think a lot of people are looking for shortcuts. I mean, I'm not going to lie, as I got older, I did too, because I was running out of time. And I did have those obstacles in my way where I had several things. What did you used to call it? A constipated what?
Constipated brain.
There you go. See, I remember you saying that.
Well, in music, there is no shortcuts.
There really isn't. I mean, even down in Nashville, which isn't even, I can tell you that at least half those musicians, and there's some really good ones, but they lack the discipline of a classically trained, pianist or artist, whatever. Right. And yet they even call it a city that they have to do something every single day for years to be down there. So if they have to take years, imagine what this must be like.
Well, you get out of it.
It's a life thing.
You get out of it what you put into it, no more, no less.
Yeah, I mean, you can't stop practicing.
No, if you don't practice properly, you don't do it. You don't play the piece. You don't careful on your practicing. The piece is going to be terrible.
It's funny. It's almost like working out at a gym. It's like, when you first start, you don't know what you're doing. You got to, your diet, your sleep, your everything. Mm-hmm. Then you finally start to get in shape, but you never are strong enough. So you keep working out. And as you get older, you can't lift the heavy weight like you used to anymore because, your joints and everything can't handle it. But you still have to keep doing it. You just have to maintain it.
Right.
And you might even, so the same thing applies here. You have to play the piano because if you get older and if you don't practice, you're not going to have that same speed and fluidity.
Your technique and dexterity won't be there.
Plus, I guess the only thing that I left out, and I'm sure you can concur with this, is that you really have to have a passion for it. You have to enjoy it. I asked you that at lunch.
Yes.
I said, are you, it's not like you have to do this. You want to do this. You like doing this.
You don't choose music. Music chooses you.
Ah, that's a good one. I got to write that one down. Music chooses you. I think you're right on that, because it's like I would look at my words and people go, well, they don't like lyrics and they can get AIs to do it. And I said, no, they can't. I said, that's like telling a poet, because I'm just a poet without, that I want to add the music too.
Sure.
There's a lot of poetry, thousands and millions probably of poems out there.
Right.
And stories that don't have any music to it, except when they make a movie. Then you got John Williams or somebody jumping in on it, right?
Yes.
So you can't escape music.
No,
you can't.
No, if that's something you decide young in your life that you want to devote your life to.
It is a devotion.
Okay, and just like there's a place in everybody's body for God, nothing else can fill that. There's also, for a musician, there's a place in their life for music, and nothing else can fill that. Everything has to be, and the people who do music for the right reason.
Sure.
I mean, so some people treat it as a prostitute or just a way of making money, and they really hate what they're doing. But if you really, and I can stay home and just practice all day. I'm the happiest person on earth. I don't need anything else. I don't want anything else.
That I know about you. And it was funny because I almost moved into this where you are.
Yeah.
A street over.
A couple streets down.
Yeah, and but I was, if it wasn't for my kids at the time, I probably would have. But we maintain a friendship. One thing on a personal note, again, I got to say that I have literally, hundreds of people from around the world, in all over the United States. But you know who calls me the most? Man, it's like surround sound clocks. Like a clock's going to jump out at you at any moment, But you know what? I like the allure, the mystique of the clock, so I'm not going to even try to buffer that out. I just hope that you guys can hear me and us when we're talking. But the personal thing is that I almost forgot this, that you call me almost every single Friday from anywhere, even after my son had passed. But we've been talking for years, and he has a routine that he follows. But Friday he goes out and does his his errands and stuff, and cryo and everything else, and then he calls me from his car, and I very rarely do I miss a call.
Right.
Very rarely. And we can talk sometimes 10, 15 minutes, a half hour, whatever. But no, I appreciate that. And he has a lot of people around him. He has a whole camp. You got like a tribe of people.
Apprentices.
And they're all young and old. I mean, from 10 years old to, God, you had people like 90 plus years old, and I've seen them. And it's like the United Nations too, because they come in. We did one time we went down to Detroit, Wayne State, was it? And he was on the league. He was like the only Caucasian on the black
team price competition.
Yeah,
for the Negro businesswomen.
The Negro businesswomen, and we went down there, and I was with them and a few times, and and they treat him like gold.
They're family.
Yeah, they're family. I think that you actually taught me some of that stuff. I mean, I'm kind of a chameleon with people anyway, but it was funny. I was never expecting us to go do that, and we were like right at home with that whole situation.
Oh,
that's what the world really is at the end of the day. It's just funny how, all of these different parts of the world, they can't get along, and, music's the glue, I think. Right.
Absolutely.
And, and you've been like glue to me. He's like my older brother. You are my big brother. He calls himself that sometimes too. So, and I mean, we have a total affinity for each other. I mean, because I've gotten, you've seen me mad.
Oh, yes.
And, but he's the only one who's ever withstood that, but I had good reasons, but having that said, did you want to play something really quick?
I can
Yeah. Why don't you play? Let me get the camera angle on, and then this way I can, let me see if I can hold the camera. So we're going to.
Okay, this is the Prelude number 1 from the Well-Tempered Clavier of Johann Sebastian Bach.
Nice. Bravo. There you go. That was really nice. Yay. Hey, nice. So, wow, there you go. I like that. That was nice. Very pretty. I don't think I've ever heard you play that.
No, maybe not.
I don't think that's the first time. You know, it's funny. Sometimes I would like lay under the piano because he's got this padded, carpeted floor, and it's really nice and warm and comfortable. And I would just sometimes I just relax while he was playing the piano. I don't know why I did it, but I enjoyed doing it. And I could hear it really well under there.
Well, you got the soundboard, right?
Yeah, right.
Right up over the top of your head.
You know what? I haven't mastered this camera yet enough to. I wish, because if I hit the button, it's going to show everything. But I don't know if you guys can see. There's like, see this? You got this full concert. I don't know. Let's see. You can see this, and then over there, I don't know if you guys can see it. He's got the pipe organ. I don't know if you can see the pipes over there. And yeah, see him over there, top center screen. And yeah, you got all these different books and stuff. And there's a picture of him when he was a few years younger, right here, right there. And that was from when I met you the first time.
Yeah, that picture was actually 1984.
84. Well, that's what you look like when I met you the first time. So it wasn't too far off because I happened to be there around that time. But anyway, well, wow. So, well, thank you for taking us on this, musical journey.
Well, thank you. You're welcome.
And I hope that whoever, sees this, today, tomorrow, whenever, can reach out to you if they want. They can see you on Facebook or message you. Okay. You have a website, right?
www.maestrogoslin.com.
Maestrogoslin.com. Let me see if I can put that out here. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna create something here for you. Okay, hold on. Let me type it in there. M-A-E-S. Maestro Goslin?
Yes, at live.com.
At live?
Yes. Live. No, actually, my website is www.maestrogoslin.com.
Oh, maestrogoslin.com. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, it's www.maestrogoslin.com.
Okay.
Is actually my website.
All right. Let me see if I can add that. Oops. Just do that real quick. And then, all right, there you go. You know how to add the www up there. I don't think you have to add that anymore. You just type it in, and
well, if you just type in, if you Google Maestro Goslin, that's the first thing that'll come up on the site.
Okay, good.
I'll give you a link right into it.
Yeah, so go there if you want information, you want to make friends, you want to become a student. I'm telling you, we got to do the streaming thing. Got to do like a master class online.
Well, actually, we're going to do that in the future.
Cool.
I have a student who's finishing up some Chopin, and we're going to do some master classes on those now.
There you go. And I've been telling you for 20 years. So, yeah. So this way we'll have like an avatar and all that kind of stuff. Come on. Yeah, we'll get, but This is the authentic intelligence right there. No artificial stuff right there, right?
That's right.
Good. All right. Well, I love you, brother. You know that.
Love you too, Chris.
And but I just wanted to take time out of my time being here for the holidays in Detroit, because I'm trying to be here less and less and less. As you'll know, I'm doing well if I'm down in Nashville a lot longer. That's but right. But you and I are only a phone call away. That's right. In fact, he'll even Facebook. That's what you do sometimes. Like I am busy, but I'm not available for you. And he'll like Facebook message me like video. Like I can see video call coming in, and we just sit there and talk.
Yeah, we just do a video.
Yeah, I think that's a lot. It's funny because as much as you really weren't into the internet 20 years ago, you embrace that technology better than the young people. They don't like to do that much, I don't think. They like to film themselves and put themselves on TikTok.
It's nice because the thing that you can do all these long distance and there's no charge, and I can do it. I do it in 5 languages.
Yeah.
And I can talk to colleagues all over the world.
That's nice.
So I do enjoy that.
Yeah, I thought I was special, the only one. Just kidding.
Well, I don't call that many people.
No, I know. But we're gonna be sharing this with a lot of people. So hopefully
every day on my Maestro Goslin on my Facebook site, I do post things for my students. And I have a student site too that I post things for my other students.
Oh, okay.
The Maestro Goslin student group. You remember that?
Yeah. And that's on Facebook.
That's on Facebook. Also.
Can people join that publicly?
If they request it, yes.
Okay, so and that's on Facebook, and it's.
Well, they'd have to request a friendship with me, first of all, Maestro Goslin, and then they can request to go on. Yeah.
Okay, but I think you're maxed out with friendships, though.
I may have a few, but I don't know.
Okay. Well, if you get some spots out there.
You type in Maestro Goslin student group, and then I can.
Okay. Or the website.
On the website.
The pool, the pond.
Whatever. Exactly.
All right. Well, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. What time is it? We've been on for 53 minutes at the moment. Okay. I think that's pretty good. That's good. No commercials.
No commercials.
Wow. See that? No nonstop. So, and as I get bigger and better at this, we'll reconvene and make it, a part 2. All right. In the meantime, I guess we're done. Thank you. This is just kind of my personal thing. I'm adding to Nash Talk to give you an idea that, this was the guy that showed me. I wasn't playing around. I didn't go online. I didn't go to YouTube. I didn't go to discountmusician.com. You know what I mean? I came to you, and he's always been like this. This isn't something he does once a week. He does this is it every day since 2002. Well, no, probably before 2002. I'm talking since I met you. How long have you been dressing like that?
I always dress nice for it.
No, I know that part.
When I went to the conservatory, always.
Wow. So, see what I'm saying?
This
isn't new. This is not new.
A suit sometimes since the 50s.
No, that blows me away. That's why I picked you. You're like way up here, man.
I taught the conservatory. That was required back then.
Yeah.
I was in college because I was either playing for juries, or you had to be in a suit, or I was going to work, or I was playing in the church.
Yeah, but be fair. Things have changed over the last 20, 30 years. You've told me that.
Oh, they certainly have.
People don't go to, they don't dress up to go to church. In fact, typically, when we go out, I would be that's required. I get a suit and tie.
Right. Well, my apprentices are in suits. That's required.
Yeah, when I come to see you, I do.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I gotta wear a suit to go see him at church. I'm not kidding. In fact, I brought one. Actually, I brought 2.
Good.
I only brought my black and blue. So which one do you want?
I'll be up to you.
Well, you better, because you're going to make me black and blue. So, I think blue will be festive.
That'd be good. Yeah.
Right?
Be nice to have you come on the 24th.
Okay. I think I'll make it.
Christmas program, yeah.
All right. Yeah, I think I'll do it because we missed Thanksgiving this year.
Yeah.
So
because we didn't use the restaurant anymore.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's it. Thank you. I know this was kind of a little bit left center from the Nash Talk thing, but music is music.
That's right.
And again, I started at the top. I landed at the bottom, but I started at the top. But I'm glad we were friends, and I'm glad you've been an inspiration to me. And I look less stupid when I talk to people in music. Sometimes I don't always get it right, but then I can go, oh yeah, wait a minute. Oh yeah, C major. Then I got a relative minor. Inversions of this and that.
Exactly.
Oh man, it's funny. I know the difference between the black keys and the white keys. Sharps and flats. All right. That's it. I'm all done.
Okay, well, thank you for the interview.
I appreciate you. You just graced us with a lot of class and honor and a lot of insight on what you've done, I just wish you well on all your endeavors with the students.
Well, thank you.
And reach out to him. He's going to inspire you. He's going to tell you how it is. So thank you again.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, and I'm just going to sign off and nice job with the performance, Maestro.
Well,
there you go. See that?
Someone wrote me a comment.
Yep. So, all right. Well, thank you very much. And again, this is going to be looped live and post on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. So if you want to reach out, feel free. And you can even make comments to me and I'll get you whatever information you need. Thank you from Nash Talk live from Detroit. And happy holidays out there. Oh, next week, I got another special surprise here in Michigan. Just keep tuning in. And if you're a musician out there, an artist, and no matter where you are, give us a call and, maybe we'll put you on here. Become a member and share it with everybody. All right. Happy holidays, and we're signing off.